Welcome to Headstones and Microphones, where we use AI to step into the past through a researched, first-person simulation of history's most interesting people. I am your host, Calvin. While we've added some creative storytelling, our goal is to inspire your own study of these fascinating lives. Now, let's meet our guest. Today, we are joined by a man who made being a villain look like an absolute blast, and made a certain genie's life both magical and complicated. He's a Texas legend, a TV icon, and honestly, just a joy to have in the studio. For those who may somehow not know who you are you?
I'm Larry Hagman. Most folks remember me either as the straight-laced Major Tony Nelson, constantly trying to keep Jeannie from turning my life into a circus, or, of course, as the man everyone loved to hate, J.R. Ewing. I've spent a lot of time in a Stetson, and I've loved every minute of it.
We are thrilled to have you, Larry. Let's go back to the very beginning. When and where were you born?
I was a Lone Star baby, born on September 21st, 1931, right in Fort Worth, Texas.
And what was your given name at birth?
It was Larry Martin Hagman.
Is there a story behind your birth name?
You know, Larry is usually short for Lawrence, but my folks kept it simple. Martin was my mother's maiden name, the great Mary Martin. She was just 17 when I came along, a rising star herself, so I carried that name with me everywhere.
What was your hometown like growing up?
Oh, Weatherford and Fort Worth were real Texas towns. Weatherford was where I really found my roots. It was the kind of place where you knew your neighbors, and life revolved around the ranch or the oil fields. It was dusty, hot, and full of character.
What was your family life like?
It was a bit of a whirlwind, Calvin. My parents divorced when I was only 5. My mother was off becoming a Broadway sensation, so I spent a lot of my early years with my grandmother, Nanny, in Texas and California. I moved around so much, 5 or 6 different schools. Later, I lived with my mother and her new husband, Richard, but we didn't exactly see eye to eye. Eventually, I went back to Texas to live with my father, Ben, who was a tough-as-nails district attorney. He wanted to make a man out of me.
What kind of kid were you?
I was a bit of a chameleon. Moving around so much, you learn how to blend in and entertain people to make friends fast. I was energetic, maybe a little bit of a troublemaker, but always looking for a stage, even if the stage was just a ranch hand's bunkhouse.
What were your biggest fears growing up?
I think like any kid in a split home, I feared not quite fitting in. I was always the new kid. And living with a strict stepfather or a very tough Texan father, you're always a little worried about stepping out of line, though I usually stepped out of line anyway.
What did you dream of becoming as a child?
Early on, I didn't know for sure, but after my father got a hold of me, he really wanted me to be a lawyer like him. But once I got a taste of the drama classes in high school, that was it. The law didn't stand a chance against the limelight.
What were some of your favorite activities in school?
Drama, without a doubt. But I also did some boxing in Weatherford. My instructor was actually Jim Wright, who went on to be the Speaker of the House. Can you believe that? A future speaker teaching J.R. Ewing how to throw a punch.
That is incredible. What was your first job?
My first real tough job was working as a ranch hand for a friend of my father's. I also spent a summer working for the Antelope Tool Company, making oil field equipment. It was hot, sweaty work, but it taught me a lot about the people I'd later portray.
Was there a moment where you realized you were different from everyone else?
Probably when I realized that most kids didn't have a mother who was the toast of Broadway. I'd see her in these grand productions, and I realized my life wasn't going to be a standard 9 to 5. I had the bug.
What's a decision that changed everything for you, but felt small at the time?
Dropping out of Bard College after 1 year. It felt like a failure at the time, but it pushed me to go straight into the theater in 1950. If I'd stayed in school, I might have missed that first summer acting in Dallas, or joining the production of South Pacific in London with my mother.
What was your biggest break?
Well, there were 2. Landing I Dream of Jeannie in 1965 made me a household name, but Dallas in 1978? That changed the world. Playing J.R. Ewing was the break of 10 lifetimes.
What were your biggest struggles before success?
Finding my own identity. For a long time, I was just Mary Martin's son. I had to prove I had my own talent. I spent years doing off Broadway, live TV, and summer stock, just grinding it out to show I belonged.
Did you ever consider quitting?
Oh, there were lean years for sure, but acting was all I knew. Even when I was enlisting in the Air Force, I spent my service entertaining the troops. I never really stopped performing, I just changed the audience.
Were there any specific daily habits or routines that you feel are essential to your success?
My mother gave me 3 rules: hang up your costumes, know your lines, and stay reasonably sober. I managed the first 2 perfectly, but on a serious note, I loved to maintain a sense of fun on set. I was big on silent Sundays. I wouldn't speak a word all day to rest my voice and clear my head.
What job would you have had if fame never happened?
I probably would have ended up in the oil business or ranching back in Texas. I had a knack for the quote-unquote big deal, even if I was just digging ditches.
What was your life like before fame?
It was nomadic. I met my beautiful wife Maj in London while I was in the Air Force. We were like gypsies, moving wherever the work was. We didn't have much, but we had a lot of fun.
How did relationships change after success?
You definitely find out who your real friends are. But Maj stayed my rock. We were married for 58 years. Success just meant we could travel in a much nicer trailer.
Did fame bring happiness?
It brought opportunity. Happiness came from my family and the fact that I got to play for a living. But the fame part, it's a double-edged sword.
What was the downside of becoming famous?
Privacy goes right out the window. When Who Shot JR was the biggest question on the planet, I couldn't go anywhere without people hounding me for the answer. It gets a bit exhausting being a villain in everyone's eyes.
What misconceptions did people have about you?
People thought I was JR, greedy and mean. In reality, I was a peace-loving, flag-waving, solar power-loving guy. I used to carry around Hagman money, fake bills with my face on them, just to hand out to fans to give them a laugh.
What was your darkest moment?
My health battles were tough. I'd been a heavy drinker since I was 14, and eventually my liver gave out. I had to have a transplant in the mid-90s. That was a real wake-up call, realizing how close I came to the end.
What past regrets did you carry that you spoke about?
I regret the toll my drinking took on my body and my family at times. I talked openly about it later because I wanted people to know you can come back from that.
What's something people misunderstood about your life?
Maybe how much I truly loved the craft. People see the fame, but they don't see the years of theater and the discipline it takes to make a character like JR feel real.
Tell me about a time when everything went wrong and how did you handle it?
There was a time on the set of I Dream of Jeannie where things were so stressful, I actually turned up on set in a gorilla suit to break the tension. It didn't exactly solve the production issues, but it certainly gave everyone something else to talk about.
Did fame and fortune change your life?
It allowed me to live on a beautiful ranch and support causes I believed in, like solar energy. But at my core, I remained that kid from Texas who just wanted to see people smile, or scowl if I was in character.
What personal battles were you fighting privately?
Aside from the health issues, just maintaining a balance. Hollywood can pull you in a lot of directions, and keeping my marriage and family first was a battle I was determined to win.
Who had the biggest influence on your life?
My mother, for showing me the magic of the stage. And my wife, Maj, for keeping my feet on the ground when my head was in the clouds.
What was life like in your final years?
I was staying busy. I was so happy to step back into JR's boots for the new Dallas series. I was traveling, advocating for organ donation, and spending time with my family. I was living life to the fullest right until the end.
What were you working on in your career before you passed away?
I was right in the middle of filming the 2nd season of the Dallas revival. I loved being back at South Fork. It felt like coming home.
When and where did you pass away?
I passed away on November 23rd, 2012, in a hospital in Dallas, Texas.
What happened?
I had been fighting throat cancer, and there were complications. It was a tough fight, but I was surrounded by my friends and family. Even my old co-stars Linda Gray and Patrick Duffy were there.
What's a random fact about you most people have never heard?
I was a huge fan of hats, not just cowboy hats. I had a massive collection of headwear from all over the world.
What's the craziest rumor ever told about you?
Oh, there were always rumors about me and my co-stars not getting along, or that I was as ruthless as JR in business. Most of it was just tabloid fodder. I actually loved my Dallas family.
What was your most unique habit?
Definitely the silent Sundays. Not saying a word for 24 hours every week. It drives your family crazy, but it's great for the soul.
What was your favorite food?
I loved a good Texas barbecue, of course, but I also had a real soft spot for Swedish cuisine because of Mage.
Did you have a favorite restaurant?
Any place that served a good steak and had a bit of privacy was all right by me.
What was your favorite book?
I enjoyed a lot of biographies, seeing how other people navigated this crazy world.
Did you have any known rivalries?
Only on screen. Off screen, I tried to keep things light. There were reports of some tension with co-stars over the years, but I usually found a way to joke my way out of it.
Tell us a story nobody talks about.
I once spiked the craft service coffee with LSD back in the late 60s as a prank. Production shut down because everyone started seeing things. Looking back, maybe not my brightest moment, but it certainly made for a day no one forgot.
That is wild. What's your funniest behind-the-scenes moment?
On I Dream of Jeannie, Barbara Eden and I had so many laughs. One time I had to be invisible, and watching the crew try to rig props to move without me was a comedy in itself.
Did you ever prank someone?
All the time. If you weren't careful on my set, you might find your shoes glued to the floor or a fake snake in your dressing room.
What was the most outlandish purchase you made?
I bought a custom-made state-of-the-art bus, a real land yacht, to travel in style. It had everything you could imagine.
What advice would you give people chasing success?
Be kind, stay curious, and for heaven's sake, enjoy the ride. Don't take yourself too seriously because nobody else does.
Larry, this has been an absolute blast. Do you have any closing remarks or stories you'd like to share with our listeners before we sign off?
Just that life is a grand performance, Calvin. Make sure you play a character you actually like. I've had a wonderful time sharing these stories. It's been a treat to visit with you all. Thank you for remembering me.
Thank you so much for being here, Larry. What a legend. We've covered everything from Broadway beginnings to Who Shot JR, and even a gorilla suit on the set of Genie. And that wraps up another conversation from Beyond the Grave. Thanks for joining us on the Headstones and Microphones podcast. Remember, legends may die, but their stories never do. Please help spread the word by sharing and following the pod.